BLS makes good ALS, okay? So good BLS makes good ALS. So the first step to making this work is doing that. If you're not doing that, you're cutting yourself off at the knees. Do you guys, was anybody in the room when we had Andrew? You guys remember Andrew from last day?
Yes, sir.
Was anybody in the room when we showed him the glide scope and how to intubate with it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, basically the glide scope, because right now when he's in this position, basically the mouth comes in here and then the trachea goes out this way and the vocal cords are about here where the end of my fingernail is. So when we go in with direct laryngoscopy, we're putting the blade down here and we're lifting all that anatomy up so we can see to the cords, right? With a glide scope, you're coming down and it's coming down below this and it's lifting it up a little bit, but just enough to get the camera view. That's why it didn't take a lot of technique or anything. I said, just put it down there, and he lifted it up a little bit and went, oh, there it is. And he's watching it on the TV when he's putting the tube in. We have to get really good at this so that, and remember, like I said, you'll be able to, all the way from let's put you on 6 liters of oxygen, breathe it yourself, to on down your throat with an endotracheal tube locking up your airway. Once you're done and certified with all this, you'll be an expert in this. And you'll be able to say, oh wow, look at your situation. I'm going straight to CPAP, which is 10 steps above the nasopharyngeal airway, or I'm going straight to an endotracheal intubation, which is another 5 steps up the road. Does that make sense? So you'll be able to move there, and your job is to look at the situation, find out, interpret what the best intervention is, and do that. Okay. A couple things about this, Mac and Miller blades. Miller blades are really long. And this is the best way to tell if a paramedic up at the airway doesn't know what they're doing. They've got one of these things and it's buried up to here in the guy's mouth. And they're looking around and they're going, not understanding why they're not seeing anything. Well, it's because you're looking at another part of his anatomy that's a lot further south than the cords, okay? This device is designed to come underneath. You go over all the anatomy and everything in a minute, or in a couple sessions, but essentially, this one goes down the tongue, past the epiglottis, and lifts all of that stuff up out of the way. So it lifts the whole anatomy up and gives you a view of the cords. Whereas this one goes down into the vallecula, and then as you lift it up, it lifts the epiglottis up and gives you a view of the cords. There is no measurement on these. You will be very familiar. You will check out every one of these blades. Will get clicked onto a handle and make sure that you get a good tight white light. Right. Can you open up that? Did I compare the fiber optics for you guys?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, so this one is typically used for pediatrics and big fat people, or anybody who has a big chunky, a lot of meat in it. It's just kind of proven that you go down, you can lift everything up out of the way and get a better view, as opposed to this one. Little kid blades are the same thing, but they're about that long. I've intubated a 3-year-old with one of these, just because I was kind of flipped out and stressed and in a hurry, and went, and I think I can see it. Okay, I can see it now with clear tubing, no big deal.
We're at 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So anyway, as you know the equipment better, I'm not saying that this is the best application for looking down a 3-year-old's throat. I'm just saying that you should know these tools well enough to use them in 3 or 4 different ways, okay? It's okay to use this thing for a flashlight. Like I said, it flashes eyes before you go in. So, when you put this thing together, before you go in, you flash his eyes, you open his head up all the way, you're gonna go down, and with this blade, you're gonna take a little bit of tongue, a little bit of tongue, a little bit of tongue. I can see the epiglottis, now a little bit more, and I'm in the vallecula. What's that? Where is the vallecula? Yeah, exactly. Well, it's when you get back to his tongue, you're going to find that notch, and it will be like here's his tongue here, or let's see, here's his tongue, and then then you'll be going down the tongue, down the tongue, down the tongue, and you'll find that notch. Here's his epiglottis, and as you lift up, it'll lift the epiglottis with it up out of the way, and you'll be able to see the chords. The technique is, and you're going to have somebody else lecture for you on airway, and I want you to take their advice too, and listen to their techniques. The technique that we typically teach here is when you grab this handle and you make sure it works and everything, your handle should be in line with your forearm. Your wrist should be locked. We're not pulling nails out of boards here. We're not doing any of this stuff. This should be locked. And then your wrist, your forearm, your elbow, and your shoulder should all be in a line, and they should be aligned with the patient's midline here. So, look, a big, strong, strapping guy. See that thing in your hands here for a second. I'll put your elbow out here. Anybody seen a paramedic in today like this? Okay, go ahead and lift up. Lift up.
That's about all I got.
That's bullshit. I'm almost 60 years old. Let's go, let's go. Okay. Now, put your arm here, put this handle in line with your forearm, and now, pushing along the axis of that handle, push me. And I can barely hold it. So he's about 5 times as strong if he uses that technique, which comes in handy when if you use that technique, you'll find that you're able to lift somebody a couple hundred pounds. You'll almost lift them off the ground like that, okay? Which gives you a dramatic increase in your chances of being motivated, okay? So the technique is you go in, you go a little bit of tongue, little bit of tongue, 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 and then the vallecula, and then you're here, you've got your handle in line with your forearm. And then once you're in the vallecula and you have the notch, you're going to shoot along the axis of this handle up towards the far corner of the room. If that doesn't make sense to you, this should be not 90 degrees like this from the floor. It should be 45 degrees from the floor. And the intent is to move along the axis of that with this motion. Not this, not this, nothing but from here, right along the axis. Not lifting straight up, always right along the axis, 45-degree angle. So once you get in there and you're all aligned and everything, you lift up. And so I go a little bit tongue, there's a vallecula, there are the chords, and now I'm going to put my arm in his forehead while I can see it. Then I've got my hand free to grab things or whatever I need to do, okay? And then you get him intubated, and we'll teach you all about steps of intubation and stuff like that. But as you're going through it, going through the sheet with the other folks, I just want you to remember, keep your wrist locked. Go along the axis of the handle, and then once you get your view and you can see everything, hit him in the face, okay? And then that'll lock it in, hold it there, and then you can go over here and do your stuff and tell people, pads on, and start praying, whatever your assignments are.
And how do you hold the forceps, the Magills?
Oh, and the Magill forceps are always held this way here with the angle down. So we can't have this or anything else. It's a right-handed tool. And when you go in, it's always closed till you get to your obstruction or whatever you want to remove. Open, grab it, and then bring it out. So in closed, only open it when you're actually physically grabbing something, okay?
Thank you.